Welcome back, MTG Joe here. We have the full kind of spoilers out for Explorer Anthologies 1 as well as Historic Anthology 6. Some notable omissions, but we won't go through every card here, but what we're going to do is highlight some of the cards that were spoiled and what we can expect in terms of decks that are going to be upgraded to more mirror and align to their Pioneer counterparts. So the first card we're going to look at is Mausoleum Wanderer. 1 mana, 1/1, flying. Whenever another spirit enters a battlefield, this little spirit gets +1/1 till end of turn, and you can sacrifice it to counter target instance or sorcery, unless its controller pays X where it's its power. So you can kind of do some interesting things at like flash speed, but also just be a force spike at times, kind of a taxing effect, kind of a permanent that allows you to have protection in a way, similar to like a Spell Pierce style effect. So what I did with this, and we'll jump into it, I took an existing Explorer version of mono blue spirits, and then I looked at the Pioneer versions, the ones that have done typically well in terms of recent MTGO leagues or RCQ finishes, and kind of mashed it up with that. One thing to note though, some of the sideboard cards, stuff like that, the Explorer meta is going to be shaken up. There's some cards that are either missing in some of these decks, or the decks themselves that you kind of hedge against just don't exist in this format. An example being like Hidden Strings isn't a deck. Some of the other like human style decks aren't the same quality as they are in Pioneer. But in any case, we'll jump into it now. So, sorry, let me pull it up. Thought I had it up. Spirit. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so what we're looking to do with mono blue spirits is play kind of a tempo game. So right now the placeholder for Mausoleum Wanderer is Faerie Miscreant. That's something you just added in and kind of swap those out. But notably, what I saw was the deck's playing less counter spells, and it's just more creature, kind of using your creatures for value, some bounce effects, some protection spells, and that. The deck is playing one more land in the Pioneer version than it is in the Explorer version. So these are things we're going to want to see. In the Explorer versions, you have some copies of Spell Pierce. You also have some copies, one more copy of Lofty Denial, an extra copy of Brazen Borrower, but here we just have a higher density of actual playable spirits. The rest of the deck is pretty core, so if you have the deck, it's a pretty easy upgrade in just terms of 4 adding in. Notably, they only play 3 Faceless Havens in the Pioneer version, as opposed to 4, so just more reliance on hitting that blue on turn 1 to be able to play your untapped spell. But if we're looking at this version here, you're going to notice we're at 26 creatures, Lofty Denial mixed into there with Geistlight Snare. So you're really just kind of trying to do that main protection and then run away with the game, using stuff as Rattlechains as well as a protection spell. But the deck, what you want to do with this type of deck is play out one of these 1-drops, ideally something with evasion, and then you throw Curious Obsession on it, draw a bunch of cards, and kind of tempo your opponent out. Tempo meaning basically pay less mana than what your opponent would be paying. So if they play a 3-drop and you bounce it with a 1-drop, or you counter it with a 1-mana spell, something like that, to get accrued values and stuff like that. The sideboard itself made a couple tweaks just given what I anticipate can't do it that way, the meta, but you have Witness Protection, which is kind of the removal spell in this mono blue deck. You basically downgrade your opponent's creature. So if they go like Annex, if they go Kalidas, which is going to be coming into the format, anything like that, you have an option for that. Some Aether Gust, good against the Rakdos matchup, good against mono red, good against mono green, good against Gruul, kind of scattered all in there. Some Disdainful Strokes versus the big mana decks. Notably, the card that's the biggest kind of consideration is Supreme Verdict will be coming into the format, so you're not going to be able to counter blue-white controls sweepers going forward, so something just to be mindful of that. Graveyard Hate, Unlicensed Hearse, 3 copies of that. Then we have some copies of Mystical Dispute, just a cheap counter, good against like either the mirror or any sort of control-y style matchup. Even thinking their blue-red Gear Hulk deck has been very popular recently, so something to consider there. And then lastly, the card that we're seeing is Aetherseer Harvester. Notice these sideboards, Pioneer versions are playing 3 of these cards. So it's effectively a lifelinker for 2 attacks, good at racing the more aggressive mirror, stuff like that. 3/5 bodies, hard to deal with. Also gets around sorcery speed removal. So something maybe to consider in like the blue-white matchup is something to kind of deal with as well. But that's pretty much it. I admittedly, I crafted, I'm not going to lie, I crafted the 4 Supreme Phantoms and the 4 Rattlechains, which I was missing. Right before this video, I've yet to ever play a game with Mono Blue Spirits, so it'll be something I do once the new set comes out, get some games in for some video. But if you have more familiarity, especially in the Pioneer version, let me know what you think, if you'll be approaching it any different. The one thing I may be gearing towards is, given the direction of what's been injected to the format, I do anticipate a higher amount of Rakdos as well as blue-white control. So something like going to copies 3, maybe 4, slip out of the back may come at a premium of something we want to look into adding into this sideboard option. But we'll kind of tweak and go from there. This is kind of the core. I'll do this kind of video for a number of different Explorer decks, so keep an eye out for those. And then let me know in the comments what deck you're most excited about building in the new format. I'm very happy about Kalidas because I'm building the deck in paper and I'm getting close to being able to test the full thing out on Arena. And I'm also happy for Llanowar or Elvish Mystic, whatever the missing elf was. So now I can play Chunky Gruul. In any case, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.